The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it. But the pandemic is over.
All right, did you hear that? The pandemic is over. The pandemic is over. That was the President of the United States declaring it. So if the pandemic is over, then guess what else is over? The student loan forgiveness, the mask mandates, all the other public health emergency things that went along with that, right? Shouldn't that be the case? What are the legal consequences of the president declaring it over? Let's bring in Professor Emeritus at Harvard Law School, Newsmax analyst, and the author of the book, The Price of Principle, Alan Dershowitz. Professor, always good to see you. Let me ask you a question. Could someone make the case that the President of the United States, the president who instituted all of these mandates using a public health emergency based on a pandemic, has just publicly declared it's over, and therefore all of these public health aspects are not valid anymore? The moratorium on paying student debts, loans, all the other mandates, they're not valid because the president there just publicly said the pandemic's over.
Not only can there be lawsuits to try to end it, there will be. Obviously, people will bring lawsuits. The White House will say, whoops, we made a mistake. It's not over for all purposes. It's only over for certain purposes. And remember, there are at least three kinds of mandates: presidential mandates, some of which were held constitutional, congressional mandates, and then there are gubernatorial mandates, state mandates done by governors, some even done by mayors. But this statement is significant because the president, who is the chief law enforcement officer, really has the right to declare an emergency over. The White House has already backed away a little bit from it, and we'll have to see what their formal position is because there will be lawsuits. I have absolutely no doubt about it.
You know, it's funny. The reason I ask it is I remember when I was press secretary, I got asked, the President Trump would send out a tweet and they'd say, is that an official statement? I said, of course it is. He's the President of the United States declaring something, so why wouldn't it be? So I can't equally imagine if the President of the United States declared something on national television that it wouldn't equally carry weight. And I'm glad to hear that the way you describe that.
No, I agree completely. I remember back when Jimmy Carter was president, I had asked him to sign on to every day we were going to put in the ad in the New York Times. This is the number of days Anatoly Sharansky has been a Russian prisoner, much like Reiner is a Russian prisoner. And he said he would love to do it as an individual, but he's not an individual. There's every statement he makes, this is Jimmy Carter, is a presidential statement. And I think every statement that Joe Biden makes is a presidential statement. Now, the presidents can, of course, take back what they said. We'll see what they do.
Yeah, well, he's done this a few times on different things. But I want to switch gears, something that we've talked a lot about, this whole Mar-a-Lago fallout. Trump's lawyers and the government had a preliminary hearing between the special master, Judge Raymond Dieri. Dieri laid out questions for review ahead of the hearing, but Trump's legal team raised concerns with his request to disclose details about any materials he claims to have declassified before calling them his property. It sounds like Trump's legal team has already arguing with some of his rulings, if you can call them that. I'm not really sure that's the proper way to frame them. But it doesn't sound like this is a good start, especially for a guy that they named.
Well, remember, I was the first guy to predict. As soon as they named him, I said it might very well back. He's a guy who errs on the side of national security. He was in the FISA court. He is a guy who was a prosecutor for all those years. As a judge, he was known to be a pro-prosecution judge. So be careful what you wish for. I think this may very well backfire. At the very least, we're going to get a judge who will lean over slightly in favor of prosecution and national security, and certainly not lean over positively in favor of Trump's lawyers. That's my prediction. And my predictions have proved to be pretty correct over the years.
I agree. We've discussed this over the last couple of years on numerous cases that you've been largely right. But I guess my bigger question is, isn't this? I mean, if you're already coming out of the gate and you're arguing with the guy that you wanted, that can't be a very positive sign for you.
It's not a positive sign. Now, the declassification issue is a difficult one. Trump is going to have to demonstrate through evidence that he actually declassified while he was president. Not that he wished he would have declassified, not that he thought he would declassify, but that he actually did it. Now, if there's a criminal case, which I don't think there will be, but if there is, then the government has the burden of proving he did. But in a civil case or a case involving the archives, the burden would be on him to demonstrate that he actually declassified. And that's why Trump's lawyers are very nervous about Judge Deary's order, but Judge Deary's order seems to be appropriate.
So it's interesting that there seemed to be at least a little acknowledgement from his team that he might be exposed to criminal charges in the fallout of the raid. Do you share that concern at all?
There's always a concern, but I don't think he indicted. I don't think it passes the Richard Nixon and the Hillary Clinton test. Richard Nixon was indicted only, or was subject to impeachment only after Republican leaders agreed. And that isn't the consensus here. And Hillary Clinton, had classified material and mishandled, and she wasn't indicted. So when you're dealing with a person who may run for president against your candidate, your president, the attorney general has to lean over backwards to make sure that this is not a political prosecution or seen as a political prosecution. So another prediction, he won't be indicted on the classified material. I think his big vulnerability is on obstruction of justice, whether he destroyed or hid or anything else document.
Right.
The government is on has the burden of proof.
Professor Dershowitz, always love the analysis. Thank you.
Thank you.